How can I make it a better dance between the vortex that is in me and the ego that has sustained me, who has his own wishes and desires, while vortex...
We are going to let you finish your question.
Mm-hmm.
But before you get too far into it, we want you just to consider this one absolute. In almost every case, that part of you that you call ego is you receiving source. That's why you feel so sure of it. So you've already connected.
Yeah.
And that broader part of you is projecting or revealing its point of view. And you are so in sync with it that it's your translation. So ego in its finest form is you being tuned in and receiving that clear message. Don't you love knowing that? People have been trying to make the ego, this physical part of you that is trying to learn its way and make its way back to some sort of connection with something else. But when you really feel that certainty, that's when you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Yeah. That's when the whole of you, that's why Jerry wanted all of the books that were written by us and that were processed through Jerry and Esther. He wanted to call them Help from Your Total Self. Mm-hmm. A new twist on the self-help section. Self-help from total self.
So I can put source here and act through there. And it's amazing because source is always uplifting.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, and because of
and all-powerful,
yeah.
all-knowing and all-powerful.
And it is probably one of the biggest gifts that I think I've received in my life. And
at the same time, the most natural one. By calling it the biggest, it's like you put a little resistance on the trail. But by calling it the most natural, you take the resistance away.
So when I'm vortex, I'm happy being here now.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, and I could spend eternity there. Here.
You pretty much are.
Yeah.
There's just those brief points of time in your human body where you pinch it off a little bit and complain.
And it's that human that goes, hey, but what about your hopes and dreams? What about your aspirations? What about...
But that human is the focused part that puts more into the vortex, because that contrast helps shore that up. Without that human side, without that sometimes disconnected, there would not be the asking that causes the expansion and the evolution of all species. So it's a really good thing.
So,
in other words, if it were not for war, peace would not be assured. Yeah. And if it were not for sickness, wellness would not be assured. In other words, a sick population makes for a weller future generation. That's what the evolution of the species is about.
So the ego has been an artist for this life, and the vortex is usually the artist, really. And when the vortex creates something beautiful...
When the artist created the vortex, it became very beautiful. And now the artist is allowing what's in the vortex to be translated onto the material, into the canvas, into the clay.
Yeah. And it's my ego going, oh, don't draw that, don't play that, don't say that, because it'll be too taboo, it'll be too much vortex. So,
well, you have to create for your satisfaction, not for the approval or disapproval of others, because the majority of them could never understand your translation of your vortex anyway.
Thank you.